Greetings, brothers and sisters. I'm Ernest Durham, the president and the CEO of the Durham Corporation, and we are a 39-year-old hair care products company. But before we get started with our presentation on how we as black people in America can recreate our own prosperous economy using the black hair care industry, I want to share some important information with you. And I want to do that by showing you how we, as black Americans, or where we rank in the world as far as spending power and economic wealth is concerned. Now, black Americans spend over $500 billion annually, brothers and sisters, for hair care products. And that's nearly 9 times more than non-blacks. And the hair weave industry generates another $9 billion annually. And a lot of this money is spent on our neighborhood beauty supply stores, brothers and sisters. And you all know these stores that have set up shop in our neighborhoods. We spend a lot of money with these people. Now, annually, black Americans spend about $2 billion on Air Jordans, $4 billion on alcohol and beer, $600 million on fast food, and over $1 billion on Timberlands. And for those of you all who may not know, that's those trendy boots that the young boys are wearing with the baggy pants. So we buy 43% of the cell phones in America, brothers and sisters, 23% of the televisions, 21% of the radios, 18% of the internet, and we buy more designer purses and clothes than any other race. And even though we're only about 40 million people, brothers and sisters, we make up about 63% of the crime rate in Chicago. Now, we're not going to start complaining about what other people are doing to us, because when I give you these figures to let you know the spending power that we as black Americans have, then you'll know that we have the power to do something about it. So we don't just have to complain about it. Even though we make up 63% of the crime rate in America, but we have the wherewithal to do something about that. As we continue on, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now, we have $1.2 trillion in spending power among ourselves, brothers and sisters. So it's not that we don't have money. We give it to other people, and we make them rich while many of us are living in poverty, lacking want. And black people in America has the 12th largest economy in the world, brothers and sisters. And I want you to think about this now. There are only 12 countries in the world with more spending power than black Americans. And I'm not talking about blacks all over the world, like Africa and the Caribbean. I'm talking about black Americans. And the other 11 countries that have more spending power than us are Russia, with only $1.578 trillion, and we're at 1.2. Think about that now. As big as Russia is, they only have $1.578 trillion in spending power, and black Americans have $1.2 trillion. Now, Canada has $1.8 trillion. That's not too much more than us, brothers and sisters. And we're talking about the whole country of Canada. And I'm just speaking about the black people in America. Now, Mexico has $1.15 trillion. Brazil has $2.14 trillion. Italy has $2.18 trillion. India has $2.85 trillion. France has $2.93 trillion. The United Kingdom has $2.94 trillion. But remember, that makes up England, Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Now, England may be the only one out of those 4 that has more spending power than black Americans. But I know that Ireland, Scotland, and Wales don't. They have to combine their money to generate more spending power than black Americans. Now, Germany has $4.2 trillion in spending power. Japan has $5.1 trillion, and China has $14 trillion. And the United States, the wealthiest country in the world, brothers and sisters, where we receive the crumbs from the table, is at $20.4 trillion. But when you subtract the $1.2 trillion that black Americans alone generate, that leaves the rest of America with $19.2 trillion. So like I said, we're getting the crumbs from their table, but America is so rich, we're still generating more money than the other countries in the world. There are only 12, and that includes America, the rest of America. There are only 12 countries that generate more money than black Americans. These are some staggering figures, brothers and sisters. It lets you know where we stand in the world, where we rank as far as economic power is concerned. Now, what we do with that economic power is altogether something different. It's up to us to start controlling. So with $1.2 trillion worth of spending power among black people in America, brothers and sisters, we have more spending power than the 9 richest African countries, which are Ghana with only $51.2 billion. They're not in the trillions now. The whole country of Ghana, they don't even reach the trillion mark. They're at 51.62 billion. Tanzania has 56.66 billion. Ethiopia has 85.66 billion. Kenya has 88.27 billion. Angola has 119.43 billion. Algeria has 197 billion. Morocco has 121 billion. Egypt has 235.4 billion. South Africa has 370.89 billion. And Nigeria, the biggest of all the African countries, they're generating 375.8 billion, not trillion now. Black America is still richer than every African nation out there. Black Americans. Now, we have more spending power than the 9 richest Arab countries, brothers and sisters, and that might not seem right, but because a lot of these countries produce oil, but they still don't have the spending power that black Americans have. Let's look at Saudi Arabia, one of the wealthiest oil-producing countries. Well, they only generate $683.8 billion. They're not in the trillions. The United Arab Emirates, as rich as everybody think they are, they only generate $382.6 billion. Qatar generates $167.6 billion. Pakistan generates $305 billion. Iran generates $439.5 billion. Iraq has $197.7 billion. Syria has $40.41 billion. Lebanon has $51.84 billion. And Israel has $350.9 billion, brothers and sisters. So now that we know how much money we're worth as opposed to all the other countries in the world, brothers and sisters, what are we going to do with this knowledge? Are we going to use it to control our own destiny or continue to live in poverty and keep complaining about what's happening to us? It's time for us to wake up and start controlling our spending power, is what I'm saying, brothers and sisters. And we can only do that by mimicking some of these other prosperous races of people. And that's by buying from and selling to each other. And I know, that's a poison word to most of our people, the word buying, selling rather. We don't want to sell. We want to buy, but we can't continue to just be consumers. You have to sell if you're going to create wealth, brothers and sisters. So we've got to buy from and sell to each other and put our money and votes behind the candidates who will speak up for us in Washington. That's what controlling your spending power will do. We don't have to complain about police brutality and inequality. You can buy what you need, and we have the spending power to do it. Now, many of you have probably heard of Black Wall Street, brothers and sisters, and we've talked about it before. This was a period when we as black people in America had our own cities and banks and hospitals, schools, police and fire departments, and we had businesses that were very prosperous, brothers and sisters, because we worked in unity, buying from and selling to each other. And we created a very prosperous economy for ourselves without asking and begging other races of people for their wealth, like many of us do today. And Black Wall Street is the model. Keep that in mind. We don't necessarily want to call ourselves Black Wall Street, but it's the model that we want to pattern ourselves after. Because they were successful with what they were doing. That's why they're our pattern. So in order to create our own prosperous economy, brothers and sisters, there are 4 things that we must have in our communities to make sure that we prosper and be able to survive from within. And the first one is a bank, or a steady stream of income to provide us with financial security, brothers and sisters. And this is what the Durham Corporation can provide for you. And the next thing are schools, grocery stores, and hospitals. And we can't survive from within without these things. Now, like I said, Black America is the richest Black nation on earth. And we're the only Black population, brothers and sisters, that has the ability to improve our situation. Because the Black people in Africa and the Caribbean don't have access to the money like we do. But consequently, brothers and sisters, because of brainwashing and self-hate, we haven't been able to get ourselves out of the deplorable living conditions that many of our people have been forced to live in. And we all know how our people in a lot of different cities have been living. But on the other hand, in all sports, we've learned to play as a team, brothers and sisters. But as a race of people, up until now, we haven't learned to play as a team. So there's no way we can or should get mad at other races of people who work together in unity. Because when we learn the power that unity has, brothers and sisters, we'll have this poverty and racism thing beat. So I'm not going to spend 1 second complaining about racism, discrimination, and police brutality. Because collectively, we have the resources to change things, brothers and sisters. It would be different if we didn't have the resources. It would be different if we were just stuck, but we're not. We have the money. It's up to us to determine what we do with that money, how we direct that money, how we control our money. So we all know what's being done to us, brothers and sisters. All you have to do is look at the news. You see inequality and discrimination all the time. But now is the time to start working together as a team and do something about it. Otherwise, these things will continue to happen, brothers and sisters. It's not going to stop by itself. It's up to us to take the reins and make it stop happening. I know this can't be accomplished overnight, but you can start now by emailing us and requesting your forms, brothers and sisters, to get started. And join me in my efforts to create the prosperous economy that we once had. And that's mainly circulating our money 8 to 12 times before we allow it to leave our communities. And that's accomplished, once again, by us buying from and selling to each other. That's the only way we can control how many times our money circulates before we allow it to leave. Now, historically, Hispanics circulate their money in their communities on an average of 6 to 8 times before it leaves. Whites circulate their money 8 to 12 times before it leaves. Asians and Arabs circulate their money 13 to 14 times, and Jewish people circulate their money about 18 times, brothers and sisters. But Black money doesn't circulate not once, for the simple reason that when we get paid, we go straight to somebody else's business to give them our money. Because in most cases, brothers and sisters, we don't own any businesses in our communities. And this is no way to survive in the future, and this is no way to prepare a future for your children. Now, another thing I want you all to understand is that 1 out of every 35 whites has a business, brothers and sisters. 1 out of every 53 Hispanics has a business. And only 1 out of every 105 Blacks has a business. And business is the foundation of any race's wealth, is what I'm saying, brothers and sisters. And this is why the Durham Corporation is setting you up in your own small business as distributors of our hair care products. So we can start buying from, once again, and selling to each other. This is how we redirect thousands of dollars back to you and create a prosperous economy in our own communities, brothers and sisters. And these this economy will consist of our own businesses. Now, I hear people talking about unemployment. This is another subject, unemployment. But I don't believe in unemployment, brothers and sisters, because like I said, I can employ everybody in America. It's up to you all to reach out to people that you know in your family and friends and in your community who don't have a job or who needs to make more money. I can employ everybody because I'm in the business of selling hair care products. I can employ everybody in America to sell my hair care products. This is how I set you up in your own business. And your business is what will provide you with income, brothers and sisters, to buy your cars and clothes and food and other things that you'll need. And this simple 3-step process involves you buying 1 bottle of our product and selling just 2 bottles to your same 2 customers twice a month to receive monthly sales commissions in the next 30 to 60 days after your employment, brothers and sisters. And the 30 to 60 days really depends on how fast everyone can sell just 2 bottles of our hair care product. So you see, I'm not asking you to stand on your head or jump through hoops, brothers and sisters. Just sell 2 bottles to the same 2 people over and over and over. You don't have to go out and get hundreds of people. Just 2 people. 2 like-minded people, brothers and sisters, and you'll never have another hungry day in your life. So after you receive your first sales commission, regardless of how long it takes you to receive it, but you'll receive it every month after that because you'll already have your 2 customers lined up. And you'll be working for the Durham Corporation. So remember, brothers and sisters, as long as you do your work, you'll continue to be paid just like on any other job. So also a portion of our company's profits will be used to help fund our Save Our Sons program, which we call SOS, the distress signal, because a lot of our youth are in distress, brothers and sisters, out in these urban communities. Save Our Sons, that means our young boys and girls. This is where we provide trade school tuitions, free trade school tuitions, brothers and sisters, for our at-risk youth, because they are at risk to drugs, gangs, crime, and police brutality. Now, our live broadcast is every week, brothers and sisters, and it allows you to ask questions and request your employment forms and more details by emailing us at WEPA, W-E-P-A, 4u2@aol.com. Now, WEPA is W-E-P-A, that means we're empowered to prosper in America. As a race of people, we have the power to prosper in America, brothers and sisters. So WEPA, the number 4, the letter U, the number 2, at AOL.com. So email us, contact us, and request your forms and other information so you can get started in what we're doing to help recreate our own prosperous economy, because we have the money. And we're just circulating and redirecting a small portion of what we're spending in those beauty supply stores on a regular basis. And you might hear some people say, I don't know 2 black people to sell product to. Well, there's one thing about it, those people who own the stores don't have a problem finding black people to sell products to, do they? They sell to thousands of black people every week. All you have to do is sell to 2 of them, and you can still be financially secure. Now, another thing I want you all to understand before we finish up is that the sales commissions that you'll receive is not tax-free money, brothers and sisters. So we will issue a 1099 tax form at the year's end. So just keep that in mind. You have to pay taxes on this money. Now that's it for our presentation, brothers and sisters. It's a every Tuesday presentation. And at one of these phone numbers, the 462-436-6200 with the access code of 480-867-pound, or the other number that you just called, because if we can't get on, we'll have to go to an alternative number, which is this 712-770-4856 number, and the access code here is 998-462 #. So now we also have a recorded call in case you want to invite some of your friends and relatives to listen to this call from today. And that recorded call number is 712 area code 770-4865, and the access code is 998-462 #. And then they're going to ask you for your code to hear the broadcast, and just put pound in again. So you'll hit pound twice. Okay. So now I'm going to allow you all to unmute your phones for any questions or comments that you all may have.